Good evening and many thanks for joining us. You're watching QTV Nightly News, which is also on Q Radio 103.3 FM with me, Ansmane Esonyase. First, here are the main news headlines. The Gambia Police Force continues its fight against irregular migration and human trafficking. 8 people from Janak Kajata appeared in court this week over so-called backway-related offenses. The Gambia Immigration Department has concluded a specialized training on document security and fraud detection to strengthen border management and enhance national security. The program benefited 30 officers stationed at Banjul International Airport and key land border post. And in a move to bolster inclusive governance in the Gambia, International IDEA, together with the National Assembly of the Gambia, with support from the European Union, held an intensive 3-day review and consultation of the draft Constitution Amendment Bill 2026 to reserve more legislative seats for women and persons with disabilities. A memorandum of understanding was signed on Wednesday by representatives from the Gambia security sector and oversight institutions, including the Office of the Ombudsman and the National Assembly. In international news, Africa's place in the emerging global economy was also discussed at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, even as U.S. President Donald Trump's Greenland takeover dominated proceedings. But stay tuned as we bring you more of these and other stories. And now here's news in detail. The Gambia Police Force continues its fight against irregular migration and human trafficking. 8 people from Janak Kajata appeared in court this week over so-called backway-related offenses. Alongside the prosecutions, police have stepped up nationwide patrols and traffic enforcement, showing a clear commitment to public safety, law and order, and safer roads. Julajai reports.
8 residents of Janak Kajata appeared before the Esau Magistrate Court on Wednesday in connection with irregular migration, commonly known as the Bagwe. The case is part of ongoing police efforts to combat trafficking in persons and dismantle networks that endanger young Gambians. The court granted the accused bail in the sum of $500,000 each, with 3 Gambian sureties per person, according to the Gambia Police Force. The sureties were required to deposit valid national identification cards with the assistant registrar of the court. All accused were directed to surrender travel documents and fully cooperate with the police investigations. The court warned the accused against participating in any activity related to irregular migration, including harboring, facilitating, or aiding the movement of persons for trafficking purposes. Authorities said compliance with all court conditions will be closely monitored. Beyond the courtroom, the police have increased visibility across the country. The Gambia Police Force, in collaboration with sister security services, conducted joint patrols nationwide to enhance public safety, deter crime, and maintain law and order, especially as weekend activities increased. Patrols covered highways, residential areas, public spaces, entertainment centers, and non-hotspots. In Central River Region North, officers from Kauru Police Station carried out joint night patrols in Kauru and surrounding communities, including areas near schools. Community members and school authorities welcomed the police presence. No security incidents were reported. The Upper West Coast Regional Task Force also conducted routine night patrols to deter criminal activity and reassure residents. Similarly, Latreia Police Force carried out patrols across Latreia, Jabang and Daru Busumbala. During one operation, suspected criminals fled upon seeing police, abandoning weapons that were recovered by officers. Traffic enforcement was a key focus during the week. In Jara Soma, the Mansa Konko traffic unit, supported by general duty officers, carried out a motorcycle operation to enforce traffic rules. About 30 motorcycles were intercepted and impounded for various offenses. Police said the exercise aimed to reduce accidents, curb crime, and encourage responsible road use. The combination of prosecutions, patrols and traffic operations reflects a police force actively working to maintain public safety and security. Authorities continue to urge the public to cooperate by reporting suspicious activities as part of efforts to keep communities safe. Reporting for QTV News, I am Julde Njai.
The Gambia Immigration Department has concluded a specialized training on document security and fraud detection to strengthen border management and enhancing national security. The training benefited 30 officers stationed at Banjul International Airport and Keelan Border Post. Yafatu Gay tells us more.
The program aims to strengthen border management and national security by equipping frontline officers with advanced skills to detect fraudulent travel documents, apply effective risk profiling methods, and improve early identification of identity fraud at key entry and exit points. The 30 newly trained officers are expected to play a key role in safeguarding the Gambia's borders as the country advances efforts to modernize its immigration systems. Their enhanced expertise will help curb identity fraud, document forgery, and transnational crimes associated with irregular migration. Speaking on behalf of the Director General of the GID, Assistant Director General Olimatu Jammeh said the training aligns closely with the Gambia Immigration Department's strategic plan, particularly in strengthening capacity building, enhancing border security, and modernizing immigration operations.
This document security and fraud training has been timely, relevant, and strategic in strengthening our institutional capacity to safeguard our borders and the national identity systems that we have in place.
Commissioner Mariama Nyang of Banjul International Airport noted that document security is now critical than ever, as imposters continue to employ increasingly sophisticated methods to circumvent border controls.
The skill acquired will no doubt enhance our capacity to detect fraudulent documents, strengthen our vigilance at all entry points throughout the Gambia, and contribute to national security as well as global aviation safety.
Linda Vigel, senior trainer of the Netherlands, emphasized the importance of applying the knowledge gained during the course.
We are very grateful for the strong and constructive cooperation with GID. In addition to the training activities, we made use of each other's expertise and professional networks to verify the authenticity of suspicious documents. We emphasized the importance of building strong professional relationships and maintaining close cooperation to support these shared objectives.
On behalf of the participants, Superintendent Marcelini Correa expressed gratitude to the facilitators, highlighting that the knowledge and skills gained will greatly enhance their professional competence and effectiveness in document security and fraud detection.
To our fellow participants, this knowledge that is gained shouldn't be just kept in the cupboard. It should be something that we should all use as our tools, our day-to-day tools that we have to use in our various functions, in our various borders. But most importantly, it should also be used to share and to train others so that they can also become frontline officers who can also benefit and help to secure the borders of this country.
The training has strengthened frontline immigration operations, enhanced document verification skills, and reinforced the Gambia's commitment to maintaining secure borders through ongoing international cooperation and professional capacity building. Reporting for QTV News, this is Yafatu Gay.
Move to bolster inclusive governance in the Gambia, International IDEA, together with the National Assembly of the Gambia, with support from the European Union, held an intensive 3-day review and consultation of the draft Constitution Amendment Bill 2026 to reserve more legislative seats for women and persons with disabilities. Mamna Buka has the rest of the story.
The sessions brought together lawmakers, civil society, and legal experts to refine a legislative framework that would fundamentally reshape the country's political landscape. At the heart of the discussions is a proposed constitutional amendment designed to establish a formal quota system. If passed, the bill will mandate that 14 seats in the National Assembly be specifically reserved for women. This move aims to provide a definitive solution to the chronic gender disparity that has characterized Gambian politics for over 6 decades. Since independence, women's representation in the legislature has remained embarrassingly low. In the current 58-member National Assembly, there are only 5 women, which amounts to about 8.6% of the seats, despite making up over half of the national population and the majority of registered voters. This vast gap means that women's perspectives are often excluded from critical national debates on education, healthcare, economic reform, and other important development matters. Honorable Fatoumata Njie, the National Assembly member for Banjul South and chairperson of the Select Committee on Gender, Children and Social Welfare in the Gambia, says democracy is only complete when everyone is included.
Open up your heart. Let us unite and agree to make sure that the 6th legislature leaves a legacy that says this legislature allowed women to be represented in Parliament. Let us fulfill this call for the women of the Gambia.
Beyond gender, the 2026 bill also addresses the historical marginalization of persons with disabilities. By integrating reserved seats for this community, the amendment seeks to ensure that the National Assembly truly reflects the diversity of the Gambian people. Jainaba Faye, Country Director of International IDEA, reiterated the importance of this initiative.
Dedicating 2 seats to persons with disability honors our obligations under the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability and recognizes their right to full participation in public life. These measures strengthen our democracy by making it more responsive and resilient.
Rafael Brigandi represented the European Union, which not only actively supported the consultative process, but also handed over $750,000 worth of communication materials to the National Assembly to ease their communication interactions.
The Gambia, through you, is writing a new chapter in its democratic journey, and as the European Union, we are proud to walk this path with you, not just as partners, but as friends engaged in a shared future built on more equality, rights, and dignity.
Here is Fabakary Tombong Jatta, Speaker of the Gambia's National Assembly.
We will continue to provide the necessary political will and administrative support to ensure that the voices of women and girls are not only heard, but are given a permanent and protected space in our national discourse.
Following the conclusion of the review, outcomes will be taken to the plenary floor to seek to establish a legally binding mechanism that will guarantee seats at the table for those long left in the shadows of the country's democratic journey. Mam Nabuka, reporting for QTV News.
And that report there by Mam Nabuka will lead us to the commercial break, but we will be right back.
Every day, reach for nature's sweet treat fruits. The Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations FAO and the Ministry of Health recommend enjoying a variety of fruits available in your community. Consume at least 1 serving daily. Try options like mango, banana, pawpaw, kaba, pineapple or avocado. Whole fruits are best, offering natural goodness without the need for added sugars. Remember to wash fruits thoroughly before eating, and when fruits are out of season, dry fruits or natural fruit juices can be a good alternative. Just choose 100% juice without added sugars. Healthy, refreshing, and packed with nutrients. Make fruits a part of your daily routine for a healthier Gambia. Choose whole fruits. Choose health. Follow the food-based dietary guidelines.
ànd ak wér ak ndox mu doy ci sa yaram buntu liggéeykaay mbootaay United Nations seen banqaas bi dox ci tëddeelini dund ak mbayteef di Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations FAO dal di jàppalanteeg ministre bi saytu wàlli wéet garam gi ñu ngi la xirtal nag lu tuuti nga naan 2 litre ndox bot bu set ñi nga xam ne ñu ngi liggéey ci béréb yu tàng yi aajoo nañ nag ñu naan ndox mu bari tànnal ndox mu sell ndox mu set ni xeeti naan yu sedd yi nga xam ne nii dañ ànd ak gaz wala juice ndox mu sell nag nekk na lu am solo ci sa wéet garam waxtu wu nekk amal ndox ci béréb boo xam ne nii jëlee ko nag ci place bu wóor lu mel ni ki ndoxi pompe wala ndoxi butéel yi wala sax ci teen yi nga xam ne dañ leen ay dëpp bu fekkee nag ne am nga jax-jaxle ci sa ndox mi bu fexeel nag nga baxal ko wala nga chloride ko wala tamit nga segg ko bu koy fee nag àndal ak ndox mu bari ci sa yaram te tamit nga ànd ak wér-gu-yaram lii nag bu koy fee da nga am ndox mu bari ci sa yaram te tamit da nga am dundin bu ànd ak wér-gu-yaram.
Welcome back. Following the commercial break, be reminded you're watching QTV Nightly News coming to you from our studios on Caraba Avenue and on Q Radio 103.3 with me, Ansumana Esonyasi. Now, a memorandum of understanding was signed on Wednesday by representatives from the Gambia security sector and oversight institutions, including the Office of the Ombudsman and the National Assembly. As QTV's Loliam Camera reports, the purpose of this agreement is to establish a central platform to enhance coordination, information sharing, and collaborative oversight of security operations across the country.
One of the key objectives of the MOU is to promote regular consultations and a transparent exchange of information on security sector governance and oversight among the participating institutions. The agreement is designed to reinforce accountability and enhance transparency within the security sector while building mutual understanding and trust between security agencies and oversight bodies. It also seeks to identify systemic challenges and gaps in security oversight in the Gambia and recommend practical strategies to address them. Recognizing the critical role of good governance, officials emphasized that accountability, transparency, and respect for human rights remain fundamental pillars of the Gambia security framework. They noted that shared responsibility among oversight institutions is key to ensuring democratic control of the security forces. Honorable Bakari K. Sanyang, Office of the Ombudsman, elaborate on these points.
Because as you know, the oversight functions are also trying to have an oversight function of the operation of those institutions in terms of their relationship and also human rights matters and maladministration matters in their respective institutions. So that's why we decided, as part of this security service reform, this is also an extension of the security service reform, that we have an MOU with them to make our work easy and also avoid duplication of issues. There are matters that they can handle at their level without supervision rather than we handling those matters.
Honorable Bakari K. Sanyang of the Ombudsman also provided further insights into the significance of the historic signing, highlighting how the MOU will strengthen and formalize existing collaboration efforts.
As I've told the parties concerned, that the signing of the memorandum is just the beginning of our engagement. But what's more important is that we should be committed to this memorandum of understanding, so that, because it's definitely going to make our work very easy. So that let's work for betterment of the citizens of this country.
The MOU takes effect immediately and will run for 3 years, with a review 6 months before expiry and the possibility of renewal by mutual consent. Honorable Almame Jiba, Namfo Fonyi Kansala and member of the Defense and Security Committee, reaffirmed commitment to continued cooperation and stronger oversight.
This MOU is a milestone and historic. The whole issue was embedded and coordinated by Ombudsman that had taken the lead with their team, and also DCAF, who has also supported. It is a collaborative effort where, as partners, as oversight institutions, we owe it to our country, we owe it to institutions to make sure that the security sector is not only being heard as said, but is also effective.
The signing of this MOU represents a major milestone in advancing transparent and accountable security governance in the Gambia. By promoting collaboration, trust, and effective oversight, the framework is expected to enhance coordination among institutions and strengthen public confidence in the nation's security system. For QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
Now, we must apologize that we had introduced this story a few days ago, but instead brought another story featuring Minister Abdoulaye Diop, the Minister of Tourism and Culture, who has defended government efforts to develop tourism infrastructure and diversify the Gambia's tourism product. He also refutes claims of failure in the main tourism development area. Alucise reports.
Tourism remains one of the Gambia's most critical economic sectors, accounting for about 20% of GDP and significantly contributing to employment. However, there are concerns over poor infrastructure within the tourism zones and slow progress in diversifying the industry. Appearing on QTV State of Affairs, Minister Diop says the situation should not be described as a failure, pointing to ongoing infrastructure projects under President Barrow's leadership.
We have realized that the TDA development has not been done in a very coordinated, synchronized manner. So what we are doing also, under our existing projects, we are developing a TDA land use plan. As well as in this year's GT board budget, we're trying to provide for resources to do some beautification of the TDA.
On culture and arts, he rejects claims that the government only support culture during festivals, stating that consultations with artists and targeted funding are underway to boost creative employment. On allegations of excessive ministerial interference in the operation of the GT board, Minister Diop maintains that all his actions fall strictly within legal oversight responsibilities as advised by the Minister of Justice.
I have said in writing to GT board and all my staff that if ever, and it's in writing, that I give you an instruction which you consider as illegal, don't do it.
Really?
Don't do it. I'm on record.
He declined to comment on the removal of former GT board Director General Abubakar Kamara, who is now redeployed as Deputy Head of Mission to Qatar.
Mr. Sise, that is a question you have to go and ask the President.
No, but you are the minister. You must have an idea.
I have absolutely no comment about that.
But do you think it is responsible enough to remove such a high profile in the middle of the season?
If based on the evidence that is before the President, and he feels that this is the best decision for the country, why not? That is his prerogative.
He confirms that a rebranding proposal developed through stakeholder consultations and international consultation is currently before Cabinet.
You said earlier, Aliu, that we have been stuck in the sun, sea, and sand.
Yeah.
We have the river. Yeah. We have all these things. So this consultant came and worked with the stakeholders in this country to see how we can adapt the nature, the river Gambia, into this brand.
Are you also considering recalling some of our tourism representatives abroad, or perhaps closing their offices, especially in UK and Germany?
With respect to the international offices, you see, currently, the board, that is a decision for the board to make, not me as a ministry. But the board has a responsibility to look at the justification, whether the cost-benefit, they have to do a cost-benefit analysis. The cost that we are incurring, are we getting commensurate benefit? And that is questionable.
Minister Diop gave a assurance of his commitment to improve the sector for the development of the country as a significant tourist destination. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliu Sise.
Quite an interesting piece there. And now on to international news. Africa's place in the emerging global economy was also discussed at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, even as US President Donald Trump's Greenland takeover dominated proceedings. Well, separately, political and business leaders, including Sierra Leone's President Bio, debated whether the continent stands to gain or fall behind amid rapid technological change, shifting trade patterns, and geopolitical tensions. Here is Alusise again.
Speaking during a high-level panel on Africa's future in the new economy, leaders acknowledge that while the continent holds enormous potential, deep structural challenges could limit its ability to fully benefit from global transformations such as artificial intelligence, digital finance, and reconfigured supply chains. President Julius Maada Bio of Sierra Leone, attending Davos for the first time, cautioned that Africa risks remaining on the receiving end of global change if foundational investments are not urgently addressed.
With serious problems with energy supply, connectivity, and other issues, the continent is not exactly prepared. And so in the end, we will be at the receiving end of what is happening. Should it come now, it is here already, I must say.
Johan Joris Tritam, Chief Executive Officer of Old Mutual, a major insurance company based in South Africa, said digital innovation is already accelerating financial inclusion across Africa, enabling millions to participate in formal economic systems for the first time.
Institutions like us create the kind of the financial ecosystem to be able to drive domestic investment. So without that, it's very hard to drive domestic investment.
Trade integration was also featured in the panel discussion. Wamkele Mene, Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area, described Africa's fragmented markets as one of its biggest obstacles to growth, noting that the continent contributes less than 3% to global trade despite having 1.4 billion people.
If we don't accelerate integration of the market, we shall forever be a continent of potential, and we will never realize that potential.
He said the AFCFTA, now ratified by 50 countries, represents a decisive shift from negotiation to implementation, aimed at reducing intra-African trade barriers. President Bio identified agriculture and food security as his government's flagship priorities, arguing that the sector offers the greatest opportunity to tackle youth unemployment, empower women, ensure food security, and generate state revenue.
My call for agricultural transformation has been captured more by the women. They are more receptive. We have a lot of women in that sector who are doing extremely well, and we hope to be able to capture the youth so that we can tap into their energy, stop them from coming across this desert into the Mediterranean Sea and dying for the most part.
Rasil Ginanester, President, Center for Global Development, a global development expert focusing on economic policy, social protection, and international cooperation, had this suggestion for African leaders.
You do need to have the investment in education to be able to pull that off. And you need the trade barriers to be lower so that you've got big enough markets for people to come in and exploit those gains.
However, concerns were raised over declining overseas development assistance following major aid cuts by the United Kingdom, the United States, and other Western partners. Development finance institutions such as the World Bank and African Development Bank were urged to refocus investment on productive infrastructure. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
And I'm afraid this is where we draw the curtains on this bulletin. But before we take a leave of you, here's a recap from main headlines. The Gambia Police Force continues its fight against irregular migration and human trafficking. 8 people from Jenak Kajata appeared in court this week over so-called backway-related offenses. The Gambia Immigration Department has concluded a specialized training on document security and fraud detection to strengthen border management and enhance national security. The program benefited 30 officers stationed at the Banjul International Airport and key land border post. And in a move to bolster inclusive governance in the Gambia, International IDEA, together with the National Assembly of the Gambia, with support from the European Union, held an intensive 3-day review and consultation of the draft Constitution Amendment Bill 2026 to reserve more legislative seats for women and persons with disabilities. A memorandum of understanding was signed on Wednesday by representatives from the Gambia security sector and oversight institutions, including the Office of the Ombudsman and the National Assembly. And in international news, Africa's place in the emerging global economy was also discussed at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, even as US President Donald Trump's Greenland takeover dominated proceedings. That's all for this bulletin. To join us tomorrow at 8 p.m. for another bulletin. Until then, on behalf of the entire production team, thanks for watching.